So, on the Berkshire station, that is the crew on the left of your screen. It's the South Africans from the University of Pretoria, and on the right of your screen, it is Leander Club and Molesey on the Buck station, closest to the island. They are the British national crew.
They've had a rocky season. They'll be wanting to get confidence and to try and be dominant in this race from the start. And they're going off pretty hard there. Both crews out fast. Both want to try and put the other under more pressure. And of course they've got to steer as well around the island. That should be something that's to the advantage of the Brits. But
most of he's steering, and that is a terrible start. But I think the British should come over. If I was the South Africans, I'd put my hand up there. But most of he's going back over again. I don't know what the Molesey. He's so experienced, the Molesey oarsman, that that is a real upset in the start of that race, and you can see what it's done to the British. I think they might have had a slight advantage, but the South Africans now just smoothly away on the Berkshire station at the top of your picture. Race on.
Absolutely. If anything, they were canvas up and they've lost that, and they'll have had some tension from that, and they'll be fed up with that. They've got to put that behind them and make sure they get back on track and start doing what they want to do, which is dominate. But it's not going their way completely.
Yeah, Mo's such an experienced athlete. I'm sure he can put that behind him. He looks slightly tight in the upper body to me. Than sometimes you see he's so loose and so fluid, and maybe that's just that steering upset that's caused that. It's head-to-head at the moment. The British are starting to move through a little bit from this South African four. We'll talk about them as the race progresses, but it's hypnotic at the moment, isn't it, to look at these two fast fours. South Africa at the top of your picture, Great Britain going head-to-head.
Powering away, almost trading blows stroke by stroke, and starting now to tell, starting to come together. And for this crew, maybe it may well have been for the British crew as well, that actually they weren't completely together and weren't going straight off the start. I think there's a sense they're still searching. They're definitely still searching to kind of get that rhythm, get that cohesion, and they're still very much under pressure from the South Africans.
Well, Will Satch, the stroke of the British four, famously stroked the British 8 to gold in Rio. He was pretty relaxed here early in the day, seeing his sister Jo, and she come down here from Cornwall. Matt Roster, who's been put in by Jürgen Grobler to steady the crew after that defeat. They came fifth in the Europeans, turned it round, scored a second place behind Australia in the Poznan World Cup, but still very much work in progress.
You can see the power of the crew, you can see there's more power, but it's not completely in a synchronized way yet. So there's more speed to come from that crew, and it's all the time that we're looking for that, trying to get that rhythm that will give them the extra run in between the strokes, but they're not getting for the power they're putting in.
So let's talk about the South Africans from the four that finished fourth behind Britain, Australia and Italy in the Rio Olympics. Three of those men, David Hunt in the bow seat closest to you, the crew on the right of your screen. Then Sean Keeling, he was in the pair that took silver medal behind the New Zealanders. He's in the two seat. Sorry, Lawrence Britton. Sean Keeling was his partner then, Lawrence Britton in the two seat. And then we've got John Smith, the lightweight, in the three seat, former lightweight, world record holder in the men's double sculls, lightweight men's double sculls in 2014. He's bulked up, took that record with John Thompson, and in the stroke seat, Jake Milton Green, described as four terriers, four mongrels. They'll never let go by their coach, Roger Barrow. And at the moment, they are pinned very, very closely to the stern of the British boat, who have just pushed a little bit in front.
It's what you can see, isn't it? The Terriers coming out there, they are hanging on and they are pushing and they're racing. They're really racy, aren't they? You can sort of sense a little dynamism there. They don't quite have the same oomph, the same power, which ultimately I think will tell in the British crew, but they're very racy, very on top of it, very dynamic at the front of the stroke.
Matt Roster in the bow of the British boat, 7 years out of the international team with a back injury. Originally he was in that junior four with Stanley Ludis and George Nash. Those two have given up, but he's still plugging on, and that's an important move the British have managed to craft out through the middle.
Yeah, they've made their move now. They have got more power than the South Africans, but it took them quite a while to get that to really pay for them. So now they need to kind of use this to also bed in. Today is a rehearsal day in a way. Once they can get this race under control, provided the South Africans can't kind of come back, then they need to start bedding in this rhythm here and all the time building this, getting ready for, you know, the second half of this race, tomorrow's race, and the races to come in the international circuit again. So
if the British stay in front, they will be racing the Italians in the final of the Stewards Challenge Cup tomorrow. But this race not done and dusted yet. We haven't given a name check to Matthew Tarrant. Matthew Tarrant, the 26-year-old Oxford Brookes oarsman. There the camera's flying over that distinctive burgundy colour of Oxford Brookes, and Matty Tarrant, he's really done well to slot into the 3-seat behind Will Sachs, given that boat a lot more stability and fluidity than it had when Molesey was in the stroke seat.
And that's a real sort of trademark of Jürgen, isn't it? Getting that fluidity into the 3-seat, you know, going back to 10 days of Tim Foster and Ed Coode, you know, it's a really crucial position to be translating the rhythm when you've got so much power around you. There needs to be somebody who's also really focusing and bringing that rhythm, that crucial 3-seat in the 4. He's doing a great job on that.
So there we see the British international crew, 2 Olympic champions. Molesey in the 2-seat, the Molesey man, took that gold medal with that wonderful British crew in Rio ahead of Australia. And well, he's just moved out to the middle of the course, hasn't he, Molesey? Just away from the booms, confidence, I think, or safety in the middle, and they continue to move away from the South Africans.
Yeah, they're showing their class now, and we know they can do it. And I think sometimes that's a frustrating thing, but there's so much potential with a crew like this. It's so exciting, and it's still quite raw. Starting to really show their class for sure. There's a long way for this 4 to go, and we'll all love watching the journey of them as well as they go through the races. And they've tried quite a few things already this season, but they'll be, you know, experimenting all the time to get the formula that works, the rhythm that works, the pattern that works for them. But now fully in control, and they'll enjoy coming past the enclosures, having had a little bit of an uncomfortable start to the race.
Yeah, Molesey has been very honest about this crew's performance with his comments on social media. It's been very refreshing to see, you know, comments after the Europeans. That's where we are at the moment. We have to be pleased with where we are, and that's same after the second World Cup in Poznan where they lost to the Aussies. So work in progress, but this is an important stepping stone on the way to that World Championships, and they will go to face Italy in the final of the Stewards tomorrow. South Africa come in second. There's Mo leading the 3 cheers. So Will Sachs just digs the blade in, stops the boat just to turn around on the corner there, and let's see if we can get a replay of that excitement off the start.
Yeah, we'll see it. The steering that so often happens coming on the island side starts to go towards the other crew, and we see a blade clash in a moment, which is really not what you want to be doing at the start when you're an international crew and you want to make a statement and get ahead. But of course they're so supremely confident that they know what they do works, so they can recover from almost anything, as they have, to be really dominant, make that move when they wanted to in the middle of the race. Sort of thing they're going to have to do when they get to Lucerne, when they get to the World Championships, is have these moves in the middle of the race where they can step out in the true tradition of a British Coxswain 4.
Yeah, it all looked so serene, didn't it, at the finish? But it wasn't like that at the start of the island. I think they'll laugh it off when they get off the water, the British crew. But it was pretty exciting when it happened at the start of the race. Will Sachs, Matty Tarrant, Molesey, the big man in the 2-seat, and at bow, Matt Rossiter.